Hi all, I'm Cullen Haynes and welcome to Live with Cullen Haynes, episode number 40. Can you believe it? It is Wednesday, 15th of October, 7:18 Australian Eastern Daylight Time. Thank you for watching live. We're coming to you live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, X, and really appreciate you hitting that like and subscribe button on the podcast, Live with Cullen Haynes, and proudly brought to you by both Legal Home Loans and Accounting Home Loans. Now, my next guest has had well over 6 years in both law and property, is actually a seasoned lawyer and used to work at the top tier law firm KWM, or King & Wood Mallisons for those of you who are uninitiated, has launched a very, very cool and doing things differently buyers agency here in Sydney, Pathway Property, and is changing the game for professionals everywhere looking to make a mark and get their foot on the ladder, their next home. Otherwise, can you please make very welcome the one, the only, Mr. Nirvan Jamshidpey. And we're going to be talking all things from law to property mastery, building top tier portfolios. Over to you, Nirvan. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. That was a cracker intro, so I'm super pumped to chat with you today.
Mate, I just came from Perth where they did like the WWE wrestling, and I should have just gone, let's get ready to rumble. But nonetheless.
Yeah, why not?
Tell me what's happening in your world. It must be, you were saying it's mad offline. It's crazy. It's busy in a good way.
It is.
Tell us how busy it is and what you do in a nutshell, my friend.
Look, mate, honestly, I think everyone's losing their mind in the property market. We've got a lot happening, obviously, with the first home buyer scheme that's been ramped up in the start of this month. We've had so many inquiries, so many people coming through saying when's the right time to buy, when's the right time to make a move, and we've been super busy helping our clients and onboarding a lot more. That covers both people who want to buy their own home and also people who want to invest, right? So it's a great time. It's a very busy time. We're hiring across the board as well. So it's a lot going on. My son actually just turned 1, which is actually
congratulations,
crazy. So,
my friend.
Thanks.
Congratulations,
mate. It's actually surreal because the year's just flown by like crazy. It's been a crazy year in the property market overall. So that's kept me busy. But yeah, mate, I'm super excited. Daylight savings kicked in. Summer's coming, so that means when you're working long hours, it's a little bit more manourable, eh?
Absolutely. It's like, oh, it's still daylight outside. It's like the Ned Flanders show. Absolutely. If you had to explain your role and your life using just film titles so far, I know you're very young and mid-20s and whatnot. How would you explain it? And what would be the movies you'd use?
Mate, I gotta be upfront with you. Obviously, my career started in top tier law. That means I had almost zero time to do anything else but law and spend a bit of time with my fiance and then wife. So I didn't get the chance to watch too many movies, but what I do, I'm that kind of guy who watches movies like 10 times over.
Yeah,
so
me too.
I guess the few titles that come to my mind are the Godfather series. I love Godfather, the trilogy. Although the third one was a bit.
An offer we can't refuse. That's my best impression of Brando.
Although the third one was a bit like shoddy.
The third one was okay. Yeah. The second one was like a true, like it's one of the finest sequels in history.
Insane. I just love that, man. I can watch that like 10 times over. Yeah. And then the next one is maybe Django Unchained. I love Tarantino movies. I know a lot of people hate on Django, but I actually totally froth that movie. It's one of my favorite movies. I guess the fact that I was born in Germany and I grew up in Germany, so I do have a bit of affinity. I know the main guy was Austrian, but we do have a bit of affinity.
Christoph Waltz.
Exactly. So that I guess that interests me a little bit there. And then I guess Inglourious Basterds is another one. But
another Tarantino special. We get a lot of people from the States watching this show. Shout out to our friends over in the States. But there was a joke that when Inglourious Basterds came out, it was like, how many people from America thought this was the way the war ended? And it's like, just a joke there. Like, come on.
I might have picked as a historical documentary.
Yeah, correct. But so for those tuning in, please put your questions in real time. We asked Nirvan how he'd explain his wife. It's The Godfather, Django, and a little bit of Inglourious Bastards there. What sparked? But I'd like to change gears a little bit. You were in top tier law, things were going well. You obviously we had the gunning for the partner track in the shortest period of time, and then you changed tax and went into property investment, and founded this firm. Tell me a little bit more with Arshad.
Honestly, I think in a nutshell, it was I love law. I love the type of work that I was doing. I was working on. So I was in the real estate team at Kingwood Mallison. So obviously, probably one of the strongest legal practices in real estate in the whole of Australia, especially in Melbourne. That's for sure. Not to ruffle any feathers with other of your clients, but. So I did love the work that we were doing. Working with sovereign wealth funds, real estate investment trusts. So like the transaction sizes were humongous, right? But I do love the thrill of closing a deal. Like I just love it. I just love finding deals. I just love like that hustle and bustle, negotiating with people, meeting agents, clients, and working through all this, all the nitty gritty involved in that. Which obviously law provides that in some respect, but especially when you're junior, you're working on, once the deal has been sealed, once the papers have been signed, it gets pushed onto you. Whereas, in my, once I started the business and obviously shortly prior to that as well, I guess I just love the fact that, you can go out there, close deals, make real impact. Which is one step sort of removed from what I used to do at law. So I guess I got a passion for deals.
And you did transition into that top tier law to deal acquisition. So tell me, was there a mentor that like made you make the switch, or you kind of did it on your own and you just said, you know what, I'm going to back myself and do this?
Yeah, look, I was always thinking about, because I'm a very much like a go-getter personality. I love, as I said, closing deals, meeting people. I like to be out and about. Now we're doing things like, flying to state to meet clients, meet other buyers agents, go to summits and conventions, etc.
Yes.
So I always like the thrill of movement and going around.
Yes.
Obviously, when you're in law, you sort of mainly stuck at your desk. You're working with your dynamic team and getting things done. But I think the fact that I'm such a probably a bit hyperactive personality, that kind of like gave me a little bit of a push of like I need to do something, and that was always in the back of my mind even when I first started. And then one of my really, really good mates, I've known this bloke for like 10-12 years, pretty much since like all of my adult life almost. His name's Arshad Zaki. He turns out to now be my business partner. And shout out to Arshad. He's the man. He was in the residential investment space for a while before me, so around 3 or 4 years before I got into the game. And we were always like yapping each other's ears off about property investment, developments, renovation deals, all that kind of stuff. So I was always like in touch with him. And then one day, like actually this was during my, and I hope no one from KWM sees this, but this was during my
no one from KWM will see this, surely. It's only going to my 25,000 legal network.
I'm sorry. And during my parental leave, we had a chat. Obviously, like in the first couple of months, I was just like spending time with the family and everything. Most of the 90% of the time, and then got a few like outings done. We went to the Mornington Peninsula Hot Springs, which is shout out to anyone who's in Melbourne. It's a fantastic place to just go and de-stress and relax. And we grabbed a nice steak at Meat and Wine Co. I know I'm doing a lot of shout outs here. It's not sponsored content by any means.
It's all good. It's all good. I love Melbourne. Who doesn't like Melbourne? Come on.
Yeah, and then we were just chatting, and we were just like, we need to do a business together. We need to partner up together. You've been in the space for so long. I've been in the top tier real estate space, especially in the commercial real estate space, for however many years.
Yes.
And we basically then and there we decided, all right, let's give it a crack. It's time for us to join forces and double down on Ushered's success in the resi space, my like depth of experience in the commercial investment space, and we did that. Basically at the start of the year, and haven't looked back since.
There you go. Why Pathway Property? Why is that an important name for you, my friend?
Honestly, it took us a while to come up with that name, but Pathway, I guess we really love the name, and we'll take great offense at anybody who doesn't, because Pathway is essentially what the purpose of the organization of the business is to build out a pathway, and that pathway is to generational wealth, right? Obviously, a lot of us, the reason why we invest in property, the reason why we buy a home is, one thing is obviously have your own shelter and do all these, personal things that relate to your own security. But in another sense, it's actually creating generational wealth. It's like looking after your family, building something for the next generation, building a legacy. And, whether that is you creating sort of financial freedom or creating passive income at the latter stages of your life, so you can spend more time with family, so you can dedicate yourself to the projects you're really passionate about, or just creating that, that legacy for your family to take advantage of. I guess that's the intent between for that pathway, and our logo sort of embodies that as well. So in essence, that's it, right? Like, we're here to guide you on your journey and hold your hand across the way. I'm getting a bit emotional talking about that, but
no, it's your baby,
it
right?
does mean
like
a lot to
literally and
us.
figuratively. And that's why you're doing what you're doing, right? So
Exactly.
and I'd love to ask you, how's because lawyers always look beyond the rainbows and look for the rain clouds. So you're uniquely placed. You probably build up a lot of trust with the professional network, which is why legal professionals love dealing with you, because we all know lawyers and real estate agents, they don't get on at the best of times because there's someone very smart, the lawyer, of course, who went to uni and things like that. No disrespect to my agent friends, but they do a few different things. They approach life very differently.
That's
so
true.
You obviously approach high quality property deals very differently to most buyers,
100%.
agents and whatnot. So how do you do that? And what's one surprising skill and edge that you've got over everyone else that's helped you with your property investing and obviously for your clients?
Yeah, look, I think, look, the points that you touched on there are 100% right. Obviously, real estate agents are extremely optimistic, but obviously lawyers are known to be a little bit more pessimistic and digging for what are the risks, what are the issues that might come up. So
Correct.
It's a bit
Would you accept that these are risks that I'm about to take on? Would you accept? I love that.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I had to unlearn a little bit of that, because in the real world, and obviously, like, pragmatically speaking, when you are like negotiating deals, when you're looking for opportunities, there's always a bit of a give and take, right? So you need to calculate, okay, there's a sacrifice here, but there's a massive benefit on the other side, and you don't want that balance to be tipped the other way, right? You don't want to have
true.
Exactly. So I guess the key skills in law that like absolutely make me really good at my job without boasting is the attention to detail is like second to none. Like, I can tell from a lot of the other agents in the space that like the ability to like focus on the key details, do the due diligence right, because I have a lot more context in terms of like the settlement process, what the jurisdictional differences are in terms of closing deals, understanding the nitty-gritty of like the legal complexities that sometimes go on as well. Obviously, with residential transactions, there's a lot of most of it is quite vanilla, so there's not much to worry about. But the reality is, if there's something to worry about and your professional advisor doesn't know, then you're in a bit of trouble, right? So you do want someone that, in the case where there are issues, knows how to respond to them rather than, scrambling and trying to Google Google the answers, right?
No, that's a good
So
point.
I guess
Or
that's like one of
ChatGPT
the
now.
key 100%. That's a key difference, I guess, that makes in my role. But overall, honestly, a lot of the other skills, like the soft skills that are involved, are about the same. I guess it's a little bit of like I had to unlearn that pessimism and go a little bit more towards that optimism and that realism. So yeah, that's that in a nutshell.
No, I love that. And like you are dealing with high pressure, high stakes situations. As I say, people aren't buying a chocolate bar. They're buying something for their long-term life and wealth. How do you unwind after a particularly complex deal or high stakes day at work, Nirvan? What about you? What do you do?
Pun intended, with a good steak, as I mentioned already in the other question there. A nice steak and probably like a nice session at the steam room or sauna, or sitting in the jacuzzi, spending time with the family. probably those are my favorite things to do. A bit lazy, but like that's the stuff that keeps me happy. So I do consume quite a bit of steak throughout. Actually, last week we had 3 steak dinners with clients. So we need to. My accountant might ping me for that one soon. But
as long as it's not Wagyu and Shiraz, mon ami, that's okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It probably is Wagyu.
Well, I'm a vegetarian, so you can have mine, my friend. That's
there you
good.
go. There you go.
And I'm with you. I don't mind after a good workout session. I go to Soma here in Sydney. The old recovery room, sauna, UV, and the cold plunge. Perfect. After even just going in there midday, just to kind of reset. Good way to do it. Now, are there any passion projects you can tell us and share us outside of property or in property that everyone might want to know?
Yeah, 100%. Look, I'm actually quite involved in the local community as well. So I, even when I was at KWM, I was quite involved in like the diversity committee over there, and sort of, cross-cultural understanding and all that kind of stuff. So I actually am involved in and actually co-founded a entrepreneurial network here in Melbourne.
Yes.
Is focused on like the Muslim community. So we basically bring people together who are passionate about entrepreneurship, who are passionate about building new ventures and ideas, and we connect them with people who've gone on that pathway before. So I'm very much sort of in tune with business overall and entrepreneurship. That's something that I love doing, and generally I also just love mentoring people. Like throughout my career, my legal career at KWM, I mentored like endless amount of students and young lawyers, and I always used to bring them up to the fancy cafe that we have at KWM, and they were always like super helpful, super grateful. They enjoyed the nice city views. We grabbed the nice coffee together, and like giving them a bit of nuggets of wisdom along the way.
Well done, Monami. You're a community builder. I know you've built a few Facebook groups as well. And to any of your networks that you've made in the Muslim community, salam alaikum. Please be watching. Please put some comments in. If anyone is watching, shout out. Put your questions, comments in. We're almost 3/4 of the way through. So we want to get anything that we can to this powerhouse. We don't get his time very often. So please join in. Shout out to Pathway Property for joining the stream. And obviously, thank you again to Legal Home Loans and Accounting Home Loans for formally sponsoring this show. Where do you see the property investment and the legal profession intersecting in the next 10 years with the rise of AI and everything going on, my friend?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think, there's a lot going on in the legal scene. Obviously, real estate is one of those traditional areas where it's a little bit hesitant to adopt innovation, just based on the way things work. Like unfortunately or fortunately, it's an inefficient market, right? So the response time to things that occur in the outside world is a little bit slower than usual, and that's exactly why, because of all these inefficiencies. So I am seeing a lot more movement in the conveyancing space. So there's a lot more like high volume conveyancing, and I can tell they're using a bit more bit more technology on that end. But overall, I think like in the one really like exciting thing about the legal industry and property market overall is the fact that lawyers can like take advantage of so many benefits
Of course.
in the property market over other people. And because
10%
of that,
deposit being one of the most famous. If you don't know about that, I've been screaming it from the rooftop since we started this business. 2018,
Exactly.
May the 4th, Star Wars Day, May the 4th be with you. Like, if you are being told you can't borrow 90%, no LMI, you need to run for the hills and talk to an expert, maybe legal home loans, and get that sorted. But other things as well, right? Like, obviously, if you're a partner, there's certain benefits there that you can get in with just an income letter. And what are the things on the property side, other things that you see as advantages that lawyers get that no one else can get, my friend?
Yeah. Look, ultimately, you know, lawyers are high income professionals. The banks love them. And that means they can take advantage of the property market overall over other people, right?
Yeah.
And we are in a position like right now in the Australian property market where market pressure is very, very high. And we're expecting pretty much a property boom of the remainder of the 2020s, pretty much. So lawyers are in a position where, you know, depending on the program and the setup that you have, you can even have 5% or 10% deposit down, and get like gearing up for investments, where you can have pretty much like gearing up the investment to a new like cash flow neutral position or cash flow positive position. And even if you can't get it to that level, you can take advantage of so many tax deductions, obviously through negative gearing and whatnot, that put you in such an advantageous position over other people and other professions.
No, I think that's fantastic. Anyone watching that is a lawyer or an accountant that wants to leverage that, please get in touch with Nirvan. Make sure your finance is in order because it takes about 12 years if you're in a capital city like Sydney, Melbourne, Canberra to save a 20% deposit. So why not cut that time in half or a quarter or otherwise by accessing the 10% no LMI product? And the rate is not that much more expensive. I think we're seeing 5.49, potentially lower. Under certain, loan values. So definitely very powerful product. What's the most unusual or challenging client request you've ever encountered in the property market, my friend, that you can share anonymously?
You do get some funny requests here and there. Like, you know, I don't want the,
maybe more in Melbourne than Sydney. People are a bit strange over there, right?
There's some funny people around town, but I think the strangest one, which had like zero impact to capital growth or value or whatever, that we saw was that an investor client, like I can sort of understand if it comes from a owner-occupied client where they're basically like focused on, their own enjoyment of the property.
Correct.
This investor client was saying, I only want properties where the backyard is north facing. And I'm like, mate, the way that town planning has been done in most of Australia is a grid structure, right? So that means you're basically cancelling.
Most places are that way.
You only have access to 25% of properties on the market. And if we're selecting properties for you in areas that are tight on stock, low vacancy rate, is going to be very difficult to match. So that's probably one of the stranger ones that we got. But really, it's all about education, right? So it's all about and this is one thing, right? Like there's no stupid questions essentially, like when it comes to property investing, because ultimately, like most of the clients that we work with are high performance professionals, time constrained professionals. So they're not sitting there. Like they might have heard a few things on, Channel 7 or on the news or about the property market, but there's no stupid questions. So like whatever assumptions you have, whatever assumptions clients have, we always say, tell us what your assumptions are, so that we can help you get a better understanding, give you a bit more context about the property market overall. Because there's some there's always things, you know, you go to a barbecue, like, and then someone just throws out, oh, why didn't you buy something in this suburb? Like the houses look so fancy, and I just bought something, you know, close to the city, an apartment, and then like it's just a lot of uninformed, you know, opinions, and unfortunately, the strongest opinions are usually from people who are most ignorant. So there's a lot of assumptions that we have.
Uncle Bob, who thinks he knows everything, you know,
basically. So that's probably one of the stranger ones, but it's okay. You know, it's all part of the learning process.
I love that. And for you, and part of your learning process, who is, you know, we obviously stand on the shoulders of giants, those that have come before us. Who has been the most influential mentor to you in your career, and why?
I guess for me, it's been a few figures, right? Like in my legal journey, I had a pretty strong mentor who, you know, walked the path before me. He was a senior lawyer at Herbert Smith Freehills, Kramer now.
Can't forget Kramer from Seinfeld. Whoa. You know?
So they keep adding names at the end. So, but yeah, he was working there at the time. Then he moved on to a boutique firm, and then he became partner at the boutique firm, which was very, very, very much like enlightening for me, because I didn't really think too much outside of that pathway that I was on at the firm. And then him, you know, doing those movements in the legal sector, that was something that sort of opened my eyes, and I saw, okay, there's a lot more that can be done, right? You can start your own firm, you can start your own business, advisory, etc., etc. And funnily enough, he actually moved to Dubai recently, so he might inspire me to do a few more Dubai trips as well. But yeah, along the way, there's been a few people, right? Like I guess like relevant to whatever like objective or personal sort of goal I've been chasing.
No, I love that. And I think the next question, you might have touched on it before, because you had to go through a deprogramming process of being a lawyer going to, you know, property.
Yeah.
What's one change you'd like to see how lawyers approach their property and investment journey?
Honestly, I think there's two things, right? Like, number one is for junior lawyers, they need to start thinking about you know, investing early, because the property ladder isn't what it used to be, right? Like back in the day, you'll be able to just buy any property, and it ended up being a good investment just because the type of houses that were built back in the day. So you got a solid brick house on a good sized land, that's always going to yield good results, right? And back in the day, that was true. You know, any property that you buy will yield good results. But nowadays, the scene looks very different, right? Then for junior lawyers, they really need to start thinking seriously about you know, a concept called rent vesting.
Yes.
If you're not familiar what rent vesting is, it's essentially about you living in the place you want to live in. So you have the lifestyle that you want to have, but you're investing at the same time. So you're not sort of missing out, or like trying to time the market or buy the property, your dream property, when you're like 28, which is pretty much impossible. So it's about, you know, starting early. And this is something that like a few of our clients, it's a bit of a hurdle to get over, because there's a bit of stigma and opinions, as I said, from, you know, your Uncle Bob's, that you know, you should be, what, rent is a waste of money, and you should be living where you are.
Rent money's dead money. I've heard that one. So
you know what I mean?
Let me tell you, you pay a thing called interest when you have a mortgage. Just remember that.
Exactly.
And most of it, you have to pay it up front. So you know, it's not necessarily dead money if you know, you have to pay the mortgage, which means until death in French, you know.
Exactly. And you know, as investors, you get the advantage of the tax deductions as well.
Of course.
Now, I'll never suggest someone to do investment to get tax advantages. That's always a bad, like, that shouldn't be the objective of your investment. But you should think about, you know, especially if you're in Sydney, like a place like Sydney, where the rent is just insane. Like if you want to live somewhere close to the city, the rental yield that investor who owns your property has is so damn low that you're enjoying like the maximum the maximum value of that house that you're living in, or the apartment that you're living in anyway. So just enjoy where you are, enjoy the lifestyle that you have, but also put in your money into things that will grow, right? And then the second thing, I guess, is for senior lawyers, right? For senior lawyers, or like mid-level to senior lawyers, it's about utilizing the lazy equity. If someone has their own home with $1 million worth of equity sitting in it, there's absolutely no reason why you should leave that money on the table, right? Especially in this market. If you want to build a legacy for your family, if you want to build generational wealth, if you want to build a property portfolio, if you want to have, passive income, and within 10, 15 years of sort of when you're winding down in your career, through acquiring aggressively residential properties and moving that over to commercial properties, which are positive cash flow, I think you need to also start using the tools at your disposal, the biggest of which is your equity in your home, right?
Good point.
It's almost like lazy equity is almost like you go and hire a paralegal and then you only get them to do your calendar or something, right? Like you want to utilize the person you paid 60 grand for to go and do legal research and reply to emails and do due diligence and all that kind of stuff. You don't just want them there to book in times in your emails, right? So it's basically maximizing the tools at your disposal.
Makes sense. And how would you describe your role to my son, 2.5 years old? How would you explain buying property? The easiest way possible.
All right. I guess the easiest way to say it is I help people who have spare money to grow that money and make it multiply.
I love that. And last question of the stream before we clock off for Wednesday, my friend. If you could go back in time at any age and go to speak to younger Nirvan, what age would that be? And what would be the advice you'd give yourself, my friend?
Honestly, so I moved to Australia when I was 16. I moved here with my brother, so my parents were still back home. So I was always sort of a go-getter, but one thing that did hold me back is a bit of perfectionism and always trying to do everything to the T. But I quickly realized, especially in business, it's if you're 80% there, just do it. Just do the volume, just execute. You can't perfect everything, right? The gap between you perfecting that 20% up the top will take you twice as long as you creating that 80% worth of value, right?
Good point. So done is better than perfect.
Just get it done, just execute. And I wish I knew that when I was 16, 17, 18 years old.
Well said.
Go through the motions back then.
Very good, my friend. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. Where can people find you? Where are you hanging out the most?
Look, I hang out the most probably on LinkedIn. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Nirvan Jamshidpey. You can also just type in Pathway Property, which should pop up there, and then you can find me posting things over there. I'm also on Instagram. Handle is Property with Nirvan, so you can find me over there as well. But otherwise, I'm sure you'll hear from us via LinkedIn soon as well.
Absolutely. We'll be doing a few things together. Really appreciate it, Nirvan. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Bye for now and make it count. Hey there, Cullen Haynes here, Australia's leading broker for lawyers on LinkedIn, and here's why I want to talk to you today about my new book, The Laws of LinkedIn, 23 ways to find your tribe, build your following, and make 7 figures on LinkedIn. When I started this journey 7 years ago, when we built, myself and Andrew, my business partner, we built legal home loans from the ground up, the pain point for us was we were at a standing start. No one knew who we were. We had no money. we had no context, and basically we had to find a way to make our voice heard, talk to our tribe, the legal community, and build trust. And the only thing we had at our disposal was LinkedIn, which was and still is free. There's over 1 billion people on LinkedIn, and I wish when I started I had this book with me to guide me, because I basically distilled my 23 top leading hacks that we use to build our business to a 7+ figure, and I really want to get it out there and share it with you. So if you're